My husband tried to kill me and stage it as an accident, so I erased myself and vanished. My name is Natalie Reed, and right now I am standing outside a pharmacy in a quiet mountain town nearly 400 miles from the life I abandoned. A paper bag slips from my fingers. Oranges roll across the asphalt, but I barely notice them. All I can hear is the blood pounding in my ears and the voice behind me saying, "Natalie, please, don't run." I should run. Every nerve in my body is telling me to get in my car and disappear again. But my legs refuse to move. I turn slowly. Daniel is standing beside a dark SUV, watching me like he has been waiting for this moment for years. My husband, my former husband, the man the world believes became a widower after I drowned. He looks older than I remember. Silver streaks cut through his hair, and there are tired lines around his eyes. But his expression is the same, calm, controlled, almost gentle. It is the face he always wore when other people were watching. "How did you find me?" I ask. "It took time," he says, stepping closer, "but I never stopped looking." "Stay where you are." He stops and lifts both hands as if I am the dangerous one. "I only want to talk. Lily still asks about you. Noah keeps one of your photographs beside his bed." Their names hit me harder than any blow Daniel ever gave me. Lily is 9 now. Noah is 7. When I vanished, she was 6, and he had just turned 4. I missed birthdays, school concerts, lost teeth, bedtime stories, and 3 Christmas mornings. I left them because I believed disappearing was the only way I could survive long enough to return one day. You are probably wondering what kind of mother leaves your children and lets them believe she is dead. The answer began years before the night Daniel tried to send my car through a guardrail. We met at a charity event in Boston. I was 23, finishing a degree in social work. Daniel was 28 and already working for an investment firm. He was charming without seeming arrogant and attentive without appearing desperate. He remembered my favorite coffee, the name of my childhood dog, even the song my father played on Sunday mornings. For the first 2 years, he made me feel chosen. He booked surprise weekends by the ocean, sent flowers to my office, and spoke about our future like it was already guaranteed. My parents adored him. My friends called him perfect. When he proposed beneath the harbor lights, strangers applauded, and I believed I was beginning the safest chapter of my life. The first changes were so small I mistook them for love. After Lily was born, Daniel wanted access to my phone in case of emergencies. He suggested combining our bank accounts because married couples should not keep secrets. He questioned why I needed lunch with coworkers when I had a baby at home. If I came back 20 minutes late, he would smile and ask who had kept me. At first, I answered every question. Always. Always. Because Daniel had a way of making ordinary questions feel like tests I could fail. My friend Marissa noticed before I did. She visited when Lily was 8 months old and watched Daniel pick up my phone from the kitchen counter. "Does he always read your messages?" she asked after he left. "He worries I'll miss something important," I said. Marissa stared at me. "Natalie, that isn't concern. That's control." I laughed it off. I told myself she did not understand marriage or how stressful Daniel's job had become. A week later, he said Marissa was jealous of us. Then he said she wanted our marriage to fail. So I stopped answering her calls. By the time Noah was born, most of my friendships had faded. My parents lived in Maine, but every planned visit became impossible. Daniel had meetings. The children were too young to travel. Hotels cost too much. There was always a reason, and every reason sounded sensible when he said it. Looking back, I can see the pattern. He built walls around me 1 brick at a time, then convinced me I had chosen the room. The first time he hurt me, he squeezed my wrist during an argument until my fingers went numb. He apologized before the bruise had formed. He blamed exhaustion, promised it would never happen again, and brought home my favorite dinner. Then came the shove in the hallway, the slap beside the washing machine, the night he threw a glass against the wall because Noah would not stop crying. After every incident, Daniel became tender. He cleaned the mess, held me, and whispered that he hated what stress was turning him into. Somehow, by morning, I was always the one comforting him.
The worst early incident happened at Lily's 4th birthday party. I had invited 3 families from her preschool and decorated the backyard with paper stars. Daniel came home halfway through and froze when he saw the guests. "What is this?" he asked quietly. "Lily's party. It's been on the calendar for weeks." His smile never reached his eyes. "We'll discuss it later." He greeted everyone, poured drinks, and acted like the perfect father. No one noticed the way he watched me. After the last guest left and the children were asleep, he followed me into the pantry and closed the door. "You made me look like an idiot," he said. "I told you about the party." "No, you didn't. I reminded you yesterday." His hand struck my face so quickly I did not see it coming. My shoulder hit a shelf and a jar shattered beside my feet. Daniel looked at the blood on my lip and exhaled as if I had disappointed him. "Why do you keep pushing me this far?" That was the moment something inside me changed. Not enough to leave, but enough to understand that his apologies meant nothing.
At home, he told a different story. He said I was forgetful and unpredictable. If I remembered an argument one way, Daniel insisted it happened another. If I showed him a bruise, he asked whether I had walked into a door again. Eventually, I began recording everything in a notebook hidden beneath an old suitcase lining. Dates, injuries, threats, proof that I was not imagining my own life. One evening, Daniel shoved me near the basement stairs. I caught the railing, but my foot slipped, and I fell 6 steps before landing on my wrist. At the emergency room, Daniel answered every question. "She tripped while carrying laundry," he said. "She's been exhausted lately." The doctor found a fracture. A nurse noticed my bruised arm. "Would you like to speak privately?" she asked. For 1 second, I almost said yes. Daniel's thumb pressed into my palm. It was a warning. "No," I whispered. "It was an accident." On the drive home, he stayed silent. "You nearly ruined everything," he said. That night, while he slept, I decided to leave. I had no job or car in my name. Daniel monitored every purchase, so I took small amounts of cash from grocery money and hid it in a box of baby clothes. I called an abuse hotline from a library phone. "Are there weapons in the house?" the woman asked. "A hunting rifle. Locked in his office." "Has he threatened to kill you?" I thought about how Daniel said no one would believe me if something happened. "Not directly. That does not mean you are safe." She helped me plan. I copied birth certificates and school documents. I packed clothes, medication, cash, and photographs. The bag went into a storage locker rented under Marissa's name after I called her. She did not say, "I told you so." She only asked, "When do you need me?" We chose a Tuesday morning. Daniel would be attending a conference. Marissa would collect us and drive us to a shelter outside Portland. For 3 weeks, I pretended nothing had changed. I cooked his meals, laughed at his jokes, and let him inspect my phone. Each night, I lay beside him, counting the days until freedom. 4 days before we were supposed to leave, Daniel came home early. He placed my hidden notebook on the kitchen table. Beside it lay the storage locker key. The children were upstairs. Rain struck the windows. Daniel loosened his tie and looked at me with terrifying calm. "Were you planning to steal my children?" I said nothing. He opened the notebook and turned the pages. "You've written quite a story," he said. "Anyone reading this might think I'm a monster." "Please keep your voice down." His smile disappeared. "You were going to leave me?" It was not a question. He crossed the kitchen and grabbed the back of my neck. My knees struck the cabinet as he forced me against the counter. "You have no money, no career, no one who will choose you over me." I told him Marissa knew everything. For the first time, uncertainty crossed his face. It lasted less than a second. Then Daniel slammed the notebook shut.
"Marissa knows only what you told her," he said. "Everyone already knows you haven't been well." My stomach dropped. He had been preparing this longer than I understood. He explained exactly how trapped I was. He had spoken to our neighbors about my mood swings. He told Lily's teacher I was overwhelmed. He had even contacted our doctor to ask whether depression could make someone reckless. "If you leave," he said, "I'll tell the court you're unstable. I'll ask for emergency custody, and I'll win. You hurt me. Can you prove it?" I glanced at the notebook. He followed my eyes and tore the pages in half. Then again. He dropped the pieces into the sink, struck a match, and watched the paper curl into ash. That night, he moved the children into our bedroom and locked the door. I slept on the sofa, terrified that if I closed my eyes, he would take them somewhere I could never find. The next morning, Daniel acted normal. He made pancakes, kissed Lily's forehead, and helped Noah find his blue shoes. Before leaving, he leaned close to me. "The conference is canceled," he whispered. "I'll be home early every day from now on." For 2 weeks, he watched me. He changed the account passwords, installed cameras at both doors, and took my phone whenever he left. But Daniel made one mistake. He believed fear had made me obedient. Instead, it made me careful. I found an old tablet Lily used for cartoons and connected it to the neighbor's unsecured internet. From the laundry room, I sent Marissa a message. "He found the plan. Do not come here. I need another way out." Her reply came minutes later. "I know someone who can help. Her name is Evelyn Shaw. She helps women disappear when the system fails them." I stared at the message. Disappear? The word frightened me almost as much as staying. Evelyn contacted me through an encrypted app. She asked what Daniel controlled, whether he tracked the car, and how often I was alone. "You cannot take the children immediately," she wrote. "He will report an abduction before you reach the state line. I won't leave without them. Then you may not survive long enough to return for them." I hated her for saying it. I also knew she was right. 3 nights later, Daniel woke me and ordered me downstairs. He had been drinking. A half-empty bottle sat on the table. "We're going for a drive," he said. "Now? Get your coat." I wanted to refuse, but the look in his eyes warned me not to. He drove north through heavy rain, past the last gas station, and onto an empty mountain road. The wipers could barely keep up. "Where are we going?" I asked. He did not answer. At Black Ridge Pass, he pulled onto a narrow overlook above a ravine. There were no lights or other cars. Daniel switched off the engine. Rain hammered the roof. Then he reached across me and unfastened my seatbelt.
Daniel switched off the engine. Rain hammered the roof. Then he reached across me and unfastened my seatbelt. "What are you doing?" I asked. He stared through the windshield at the darkness beyond the guardrail. "You've made everything complicated, Natalie." My hand moved toward the door, but he caught my wrist. "Daniel, the children are home. They'll be better off without this chaos." His calm voice frightened me more than shouting. He started the engine and shifted into reverse. For a second, I thought he might turn around. Instead, he backed up until the rear tires touched the edge of the pavement, then aimed the car toward a broken section of guardrail. The ravine waited beyond it. My chest tightened so sharply I could barely breathe. He was not going to strike me where bruises could be photographed. He was going to send the car into the darkness and call it an accident. A troubled wife who had finally lost control. A grieving husband left to raise 2 children alone. Daniel had already written the ending. He pressed the accelerator. I grabbed the steering wheel and pulled. The car lurched sideways. He cursed and struck me across the mouth. The tires spun on wet gravel. For a moment, the car pointed directly at the ravine. Then headlights appeared around the bend. A delivery truck. Daniel froze. The driver slowed when he saw us angled across the overlook. I threw open the passenger door and stumbled into the rain. "Help!" I screamed. Daniel cut my coat, but the fabric tore as I fell onto the road. The truck stopped. A man climbed from the cab. "Is everything okay?" Daniel released me. "My wife is having a panic attack," he called. She grabbed the wheel. I crawled toward the truck. "He's trying to kill me!" The driver looked from me to Daniel. Daniel stepped closer, wearing his familiar expression of patient concern. "She hasn't been herself. I'm taking her to the hospital." He hesitated. Then Daniel made the mistake that saved me. He reached for me too quickly. I flinched and screamed. The driver moved between us. "Back away," he said. The man helped me into his cab and locked the door. He called the police while Daniel stood in the rain watching us. By the time officers arrived, Daniel had arranged his face into grief. He claimed I had threatened to drive us both off the cliff. He said he pulled over to calm me down and that I attacked him when he tried to take the keys. The police separated us. One officer listened as I described the abuse and threats. For a few minutes, I believed this time would be different. Then another officer returned from speaking with Daniel. "Your husband says you've been experiencing severe depression," she said gently. "He says you stopped taking medication." "I've never been prescribed medication." He showed us messages where you said everyone would be better without you. I stared at her. I had never written those words. Daniel had created them.
The messages looked real. They came from my number and used details only he knew. He has access to my phone, I said. He wrote them. The officer's expression softened, but not with belief. Mrs. Reed, we need to make sure you're safe tonight. I'm not safe with him. Daniel stood by the patrol car, calmly speaking to another officer. Even from there, I could see him performing concern. The driver gave a statement. He had heard me call for help and seen Daniel grab me. It stopped them from sending me home, but not enough to arrest him. They took me to a hospital for evaluation. Daniel followed. He told nurses I had suffered a breakdown. He called my parents and warned them I might lie about him. A doctor interviewed me alone. I told her about the hidden money, the notebook, the storage locker, and the road. Then she asked whether I had thoughts of harming myself. No. Do you want to hurt your husband? No, I want him away from me. She kept me overnight for observation. Daniel went home to Lily and Noah. That was how he won. He created terror, then waited for my fear to make me look unstable. The next morning, a social worker gave me a shelter brochure and advised a protection order. Daniel was waiting near the entrance. You embarrassed me, he said when we were alone. If you come near me, I'll scream. He smiled. Go ahead. Everyone here already thinks you're sick. A taxi took me to Marissa's apartment. She pulled me into her arms. You're not going back, she said. I can't leave the kids. We'll get them legally. Together we went to court. The judge granted a temporary order preventing Daniel from contacting me, but allowed the children to remain at home until a custody hearing 4 days later. 4 days felt like 4 years. Through his lawyer, Daniel sent updates about Lily's nightmares and Noah asking why their mother had abandoned them. Then he filed an emergency motion. He claimed I had tried to cause a fatal crash at Black Ridge Pass. He included the fabricated messages and the hospital evaluation. At the hearing, Daniel wore his wedding ring. His attorney described him as a frightened father protecting his children from an unstable wife. My lawyer presented the driver's statement and photographs of my bruises. Daniel's attorney called them unverified injuries. The judge ordered psychological evaluations and supervised visits. Daniel kept them. As we left, he passed close enough to whisper, I told you no one would choose you. That evening, Evelyn contacted me. You tried the legal path, she wrote. Now he knows every move you can make. I need my children. You need to stay alive. Another message appeared. If you disappear, he may stop seeing you as a threat. Later, when you have proof and support, you can return. It sounded impossible, cruel, but so had everything Daniel had already done. I asked Evelyn one question. How soon can we
Evelyn replied almost immediately. Tonight. The plan was not to vanish forever. It was to create enough distance for Daniel to believe he had won. Marissa helped me gather identification, birth certificates, medical records, injury photographs, and Daniel's messages. Evelyn insisted on one more thing. You need to leave something behind that tells a simple story, she said from a blocked number. People believe the simplest explanation. What story? That you ran because you could not handle losing custody. It was exactly the story Daniel had already prepared. We would use it against him. The next day, I attended a supervised visit with Lily and Noah. Daniel sat behind a glass partition while a social worker watched us. Lily climbed into my lap. Daddy says you're sick, she whispered. I'm scared, I told her. But I love you more than anything. Noah showed me a toy train and asked when I was coming home. Soon, I said, and the Lyme nearly destroyed me. Before leaving, I hugged them until the social worker said our time was over. Daniel waited in the hallway. You can make this easier, he said. Admit you need treatment. Sign over temporary custody. Maybe I'll allow more visits. I looked at him and understood he would never stop. Even if I surrendered everything, he would always find another way to punish me. That evening, Marissa drove me to the coast. A storm was moving in. Evelyn had chosen a cliffside trail near Greyhaven, a place known for violent currents and sudden drops. We parked my car beside the trail entrance. I left my phone in the cup holder. my purse beneath the passenger seat, and my wedding ring on the dashboard. Then I wrote a note. I did not say I planned to die. I only wrote that I was tired, that I had failed my children, and that I could not keep fighting. Evelyn said ambiguity would make it believable. At the cliffs, I tied my scarf to a rusted railing. I stood above the black water. Wind tore at my coat. Waves struck the rocks below. I imagined Daniel receiving the call. I imagined him holding Lily and Doa while cameras recorded his grief. I imagined my children growing up believing their mother chose death over them. I can't do this, I said. Marissa grabbed my hands. You are not leaving because you do not love them. You are leaving because Daniel will kill you if you stay. What if they hate me? Then stay alive long enough to explain. Headlights appeared down the access road. It was Evelyn's signal. There was no more time. Marissa and I followed a narrow maintenance path through wet trees to an abandoned service lot where a gray van waited. A woman with cropped white hair opened the door. Natalie Reed ends here, she said. From now on, your name is Claire Morgan. I climbed silently inside. Marissa remained in the rain. Then she leaned through the doorway and pressed her forehead against mine. I'll watch over them, she promised. The door closed between us.
The van carried me through the night. I sat beneath a blanket while rain struck the roof. Evelyn drove without music and changed highways twice. Every hour she removed the battery from one phone and activated another. At sunrise, the coastline was gone. We stopped at a roadside station where I cut my hair in a restroom mirror. When the first lock fell into the sink, I began to cry. Evelyn stood beside the door. You can grieve, she said, but keep moving. By afternoon, Natalie Reed existed only in photographs, court files, and the memories of my children. Claire Morgan arrived in Cedar Hollow, Idaho, with short brown hair, a secondhand suitcase, and a birth certificate belonging to a woman who had died as an infant 31 years earlier. Fewer than 4,000 people lived there. In winter, the streets were nearly empty. Evelyn rented me a room above a bakery owned by an elderly widow named Ruth Bell. Ruth studied me from behind thick glasses. "Running from a man?" she asked. My breath caught. She shrugged. "You have the look." "What look?" "The look of someone listening for footsteps, even when the room is empty." I did not answer. Ruth handed me a key. "Rent is due Friday. Breakfast is free if you help open the shop." That became my new life. I woke at 4 each morning, kneaded dough, cleaned counters, and served coffee to truck drivers. In the afternoons, I worked at a small motel until Evelyn secured documents that could survive routine checks. Keeping busy helped during the day. Nights were unbearable. I imagined Lily waking from a nightmare and calling for me. I pictured Noah standing at the window, waiting for my car. 3 days after I disappeared, Ruth found me sitting on the kitchen floor with my hands over my mouth. "The news says a woman went over the cliffs near Grey Haven," she said quietly. I looked up. "Was that you?" I expected judgment. Instead, Ruth sat beside me. "My husband used to break my ribs where no one could see," she said. "I stayed until he died. If someone had offered me another life, I would have taken it." She did not ask for details. A week later, I went to the library. The headline filled the screen. "Missing mother presumed dead after personal items found at Gray Haven Cliffs." There was a photograph of Daniel outside our house. He held Lily against his chest while Noah clutched his hand. Daniel looked shattered. He told reporters I had been battling severe emotional problems and that he wished he had recognized how much danger I was in. "I will spend the rest of my life wondering what more I could have done," he said. Below the article was a link to a fundraiser. Daniel had created the Natalie Reed Family Recovery Fund. It had already collected $42,000. I stared at his face until the words blurred. He had tried to murder me,
Now he was turning my disappearance into proof that he had always been right. He was making money from the life he stole.
For several minutes, I could not move. A librarian asked whether I needed help, so I closed the page. Outside, snow had begun to fall. I walked back to the bakery feeling buried twice, once at Grey Haven and again by Daniel's performance as a devoted husband. That night, Evelyn called. "You checked the news?" she said. "How did you know? Everyone does eventually. He started a fund in my name. I know. He is using the children. He has always used them. I asked about Lily and Noah." Evelyn hesitated. "They're with Daniel. Your parents requested contact, but he is limiting visits. Are they safe? I cannot promise that." The words hollowed me out. I should go back. "If you return now, he will have you declared unstable before you finish your first sentence." I left them with him. You left them alive, with people watching. That is more than they would have had if you died on that road. I hated the logic because it was true. Before ending the call, Evelyn said Marissa had copied the videos I recorded. One was for Lily, one was for Noah. A third was for them when they were older. In Lily's video, I said none of this was her fault. I told her she was brave and kind. In Noah's, I reminded him of the bedtime song he always made me sing twice. In the final recording, I spoke without pretending. "Your father hurt me," I said. I asked for help, but the people who should have protected us believed him. I left because I wanted to survive. One day, I hope to return and tell you this myself. Recording those words had nearly broken me. Knowing the files still existed gave me something to hold on to. Months passed. I learned to answer to Claire without hesitating. I found work at the county clinic, scheduling appointments and filing records. Ruth lowered my rent because I helped at the bakery every morning. Cedar Hollow accepted me without questions. A mechanic named Owen invited me to dinner twice. I said no both times. The idea of anyone learning where I slept made my skin tighten. On Lily's 7th birthday, I bought a purple notebook and wrote her a letter. I described the snow, the bakery, and a stray cat that waited at the back door each morning. I told her I had not forgotten the exact sound of her laugh. I could not send it. For Noah's 5th birthday, I wrote another. Soon, a wooden box beneath my bed filled with letters, drawings, and small gifts that had nowhere to go. 1 year after Grey Haven, Daniel appeared on national television. He had transformed the family fund into a foundation for suicide prevention. The interviewer praised his courage. Daniel looked into the camera and said, "Natalie's death taught me that love is not always enough." I switched off the television. For the first time since disappearing, grief gave way to rage. Love had never failed me. The system had. Daniel had. And somewhere beneath the fear, a thought began to grow. One day, I would make him answer for it.
That thought became the reason I stayed. I began collecting what I could without exposing myself. Newspaper articles, interviews, screenshots from Daniel's foundation. Evelyn warned me not to become reckless. "Anger can make you visible," she said. "So can silence." She did not argue. 2 years after Grey Haven, Marissa called from a number I did not recognize. "Lily found one of your old bracelets," she said. "She wears it every day." I closed my eyes. "And Noah?" "He asks fewer questions now. That worries me more. Does Daniel hurt them? I have seen no marks. He is careful. But he tells them you chose to leave. He says you loved your sadness more than you loved them." The room seemed to tilt. "I need the videos sent." "Are you sure?" "No, but they need one piece of the truth." Marissa arranged for the recordings to reach a therapist at Lily's school. She agreed to hold them until the children were ready. It was not enough, but it was something. By the 3rd year, Cedar Hollow no longer felt temporary. Ruth taught me to make cinnamon rolls. I became office manager at the clinic. People invited me to birthdays and winter festivals. I smiled more. Sometimes I forgot to be afraid for an entire afternoon. Then, a stranger entered the bakery on a Tuesday morning. He wore a charcoal coat and ordered black coffee. While I filled the cup, he studied my face. "Have we met?" he asked. "I don't think so." "You look familiar." "I get that a lot." He placed a business card beside the register. "Gavin Price, private investigator." My hand went cold. "If you remember," he said, "call me."
He left without touching the coffee. I waited 10 minutes, then slipped through the back door and called Evelyn. He found me. Who? I read the name from the card. There was a long silence. Do not go home, she said. Do not use your car. Walk to the clinic and stay where people can see you. Was Daniel looking? I'll find out. For the rest, every face in the waiting room seemed suspicious. At closing time, Ruth picked me up. We drove 3 routes before returning home. Evelyn called after midnight. Daniel hired investigators 8 months ago. He has been searching several states. Why now? His foundation is expanding. A publisher offered him a book deal. My disappearance had become too valuable for him to leave unexplained. He wants certainty, Evelyn continued. Proof you are dead, or control if you are alive. What do I do? You can disappear again. I looked around my room, at the letters beneath the bed, at the life I had built from nothing. How many times? As many as necessary. No, the word surprised both of us. I am done running. The next morning, Gavin returned. This time he carried a photograph. He placed it on the counter between us. It showed me standing beside Daniel at a summer fundraiser 5 years before Greyhaven. Her name was Natalie Reed, he said, and I believe she is you.
Gavin kept one finger on the photograph. I am not Natalie Reed, I said. My voice sounded convincing. My hands did not. I've spent 20 years watching people lie, he said. Most of them talk too much. You did not. Then leave. He slid another photograph across the counter. Lily and Noah stood outside a school. Lily was taller now, her hair in a braid. Noah wore a red jacket and held a science project. The sight of them erased every practiced answer. That is what I thought, Gavin said. I grabbed the photograph. Where did you get this? Your husband provided it. Daniel is not my husband. Then tell me what he is. I looked around the bakery. Ruth was in the kitchen, but 2 customers sat near the window. You need to go. Gavin lowered his voice. He told me you were unstable and dangerous. He said you staged your death to punish him. And you believed him? I believed I was being paid to find someone. But after finding you, I read the old reports. Some things do not fit. What things? The driver at Black Ridge Pass. The protection order. Marissa's statements. Why tell me this? Because Daniel wants me to bring him here before contacting police. Gavin leaned closer. He does not want closure. He wants control. You expect me to trust you? No, I expect you to understand that you have little time. He gave me a second card with a handwritten number. Call if you want to know when he is coming. Then he walked out. Ruth emerged carrying bread. Was he the man you feared? One of them. She set down the tray. Then we should lock the door. I called Evelyn from the clinic. She wanted me out of Idaho before sunset. He knows your face, your job, and where you live, she said. This location is finished. I am not running. Natalie. My name is Natalie. Saying it aloud felt like stepping into sunlight after years underground. Evelyn went quiet. If you stay, Daniel will come. I know. And when he does, I want him recorded. Ruth installed a camera above the register. Owen placed another in the alley. Evelyn contacted a journalist who investigated domestic violence. Her name was Lena Ortiz. She agreed to speak only after verifying me. I sent copies of the court order, injury photographs, and the Black Ridge report. That evening, she called. If this is real, Lena said, it is bigger than your disappearance. It is real. Then I need everything. Marissa provided the videos and messages Daniel had fabricated. Evelyn documented my escape. Gavin sent records showing Daniel had paid investigators with foundation money. The foundation was not his public image. It was financing the hunt for me. On Friday morning, Gavin called. He arrived last night, he said. Daniel knows where you work. When will he come? Soon. I looked through the bakery window at the empty street. For 3 years, fear had decided every move I made. Not today. Let him, I said.
Daniel came just before noon. I saw him through the bakery window before he saw me. He wore a navy coat and carried no umbrella, even though sleet was falling. For one absurd second, he looked exactly as he had on our wedding day. Composed, handsome, certain every room belonged to him. Ruth touched my arm. "You do not have to face him alone." "I know." Owen stood in the kitchen doorway. Gavin waited in a parked truck across the street. Lena was 2 blocks away with a camera crew, ready only if I gave the signal. Daniel opened the door. The bell above it rang. His eyes found me immediately. "Natalie." Hearing my real name in his voice made my body remember before my mind could react. My shoulders tightened, my breath shortened, but I did not step back. "You should leave," I said. He glanced at Ruth and Owen. "Can we speak privately?" "No." His mouth curved into a restrained smile. "You always did enjoy making scenes, and you always preferred witnesses who believed you." The smile vanished. He walked closer. "You have no idea what you have done to the children." "I know exactly what you told them. They buried you, Natalie." Lily stopped speaking for weeks. Noah slept on the floor beside my bed. Pain tore through me, but I forced myself to hold his gaze. "You made them believe I chose to die. You did choose to disappear. Because you tried to kill me." Ruth inhaled sharply. Daniel looked toward her, then lowered his voice. "She is confused. She has been ill for years." The old script. Only this time, I was ready. "You used foundation money to hire Gavin." His eyes flickered toward the window. "You forged messages from my phone. You lied in court. You staged yourself as a grieving husband while searching for me in secret. You have no proof." "Are you sure?" I tapped the counter. The hidden camera recorded every word. Daniel noticed the movement. His expression changed. "Not much, just enough." "What do you want?" he asked. "My children. They are not possessions." "Then stop using them as weapons." He leaned closer. "If you go public, you will be arrested. Fraud, false reporting, child abandonment. You think a sad story will erase what you did?" "No." That answer unsettled him. "I know I may face charges. I am still telling the truth." He studied me as if trying to locate the woman who once apologized when he hurt her. "She will hate you," he said. "Lily already does. Noah barely remembers you." My vision blurred, but I stayed still. "Then I will spend the rest of my life earning them back." Daniel's jaw tightened. "You are not getting near them. That is not your decision anymore." I raised my phone and sent Lena the signal. Outside, 2 vehicles turned the corner. Daniel looked through the window. "What did you do?" "What you were always afraid I would do." The first camera crew stepped onto the sidewalk. I stopped being silent. This time, they would hear the whole truth.
The cameras reached the bakery. Lena entered with a producer and cameraman. "Mr. Reed," she said, "did you use donations from your wife's memorial foundation to hire investigators?" Daniel's anger vanished. Grief replaced it. "I am sorry," he said softly, "but my wife is not well. She has created a fantasy around our marriage." Lena turned to me. "Are you Natalie Reed?" "Yes." Ruth locked the door. Gavin entered with a folder. Daniel pointed at him. "You violated our agreement." "You hired me to find a missing woman," Gavin said, "not deliver her to you in secret. This is harassment. Turn that off." The cameraman did not move. Lena asked about Black Ridge Pass. Daniel denied trying to kill me. He called it a mental health crisis and claimed he had saved us both. Then Lena played the driver's statement. "I saw the woman fall from the car. She screamed that the man was trying to kill her. When he reached for her, she appeared terrified." Daniel's expression tightened. "That proves nothing." Lena produced copies of the false messages sent from my phone. A specialist had traced them to Daniel's home computer. Daniel stopped pretending to be calm. "You broke into my records." "No," Lena said. "A court order obtained them after evidence of fraud was submitted this morning." His eyes snapped toward me. "You think this makes you innocent?" "No," I said. "It makes me visible." Police vehicles pulled up outside. Then he rushed toward me. Owen stepped between us, but Daniel shoved him aside and grabbed my coat. "You destroyed my life," he hissed. Every camera was still recording the confrontation. 2 officers entered and pulled him away. He fought until they forced his hands behind his back. "You abandoned your children," he shouted as they led him outside. "You are the criminal, not me."
Maybe part of that was true. I had broken laws. I had left Lily and Noah with a man I feared. But for the first time, Daniel's version was not the only one people would hear. Lena asked whether I still wanted the interview. I watched police place Daniel into a cruiser. Yes. We filmed in Ruth's kitchen. I told the story from the beginning. The control, the bruises, the false messages, the custody hearing, Black Ridge Pass, Greyhaven. When I spoke about Lily and Noah, my voice failed. I did not leave because I wanted freedom from my children, I said. I left because staying would leave them with a dead mother. Lena asked the question I had feared for 3 years. Would you do it again? I thought of every birthday letter beneath my bed. I would ask for help sooner. I would document more. I would fight harder before disappearing. I swallowed. But if the choice were death or survival, I would still choose survival. That evening, the interview aired nationwide. By midnight, the Natalie Reed case was no longer a tragedy about suicide. It was a scandal about abuse, fraud, and a system that believed the wrong person.
The story spread faster than anyone expected. By morning, every major network was repeating the same images. Daniel being led from the bakery, the Black Ridge report, and the moment I admitted on camera that I had staged my own death. Some people called me brave. Others called me a liar, a coward, and a terrible mother. Both reactions felt strangely distant. The only opinions that mattered belonged to Lily and Noah. Lena arranged a lawyer for me before I surrendered to police. Her name was Camille Brooks, and she specialized in cases involving survivors of domestic violence. You will be charged, she told me plainly. Filing a false report, fraud, possibly interfering with custody. Daniel also collected insurance money after you disappeared. I never asked him to. That matters, but it does not erase the consequences. I understand. Do you? I looked at the television where my children's school photograph filled the screen. Yes. 2 days later, I walked into the county courthouse with Camille beside me. Reporters crowded the steps. Questions flew from every direction. Why did you abandon your children? Did you profit from your disappearance? Are you afraid of prison? I answered only one. Do you regret leaving? I regret that I believed disappearing was my only chance to survive. Inside, officers took my fingerprints and placed me in a holding cell. The door closing behind me brought back every locked room Daniel had used to frighten me. But this time, I had chosen to enter. At the bail hearing, the prosecutor argued that someone who had successfully vanished for 3 years could not be trusted to remain for trial. Camille presented my voluntary surrender, my employment records, Ruth's testimony, and the evidence against Daniel. The judge set bail at $60,000 and ordered an ankle monitor. Ruth offered her bakery as collateral. Evelyn covered the rest through a legal defense fund created after the interview. When I was released, Marissa was waiting outside. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then she wrapped her arms around me. I'm sorry, she whispered. I promised to protect them, but Daniel pushed everyone away. You kept watching. I should have done more. So should I. She pulled back and handed me an envelope. Lily wrote this after seeing the interview. My hands began to tremble. The letter contained only 4 sentences. Mom, I do not know what to believe yet. Dad said you did not love us. You said you left to stay alive. I want to hear the truth from you, but I am still angry. Lily. I pressed the paper to my chest. She wants to see you, Marissa said. Both of them do. The court approved one supervised meeting. When? Tomorrow. 3 years of waiting ended with a single word. Tomorrow. That night, I placed Lily's letter beside the box that I had filled for her and Noah. I did not sleep. I kept imagining the first moment their eyes would meet mine again.
The meeting took place in a family services center outside Boston. Camille came with me. A social worker named Hannah explained the rules before opening the door. No promises you cannot keep, she said. Do not pressure them to forgive you. Let them decide how close they want to be. I nodded, although my throat felt too tight to speak. Lily entered first. She was 9, taller than I remembered, with Daniel's dark hair and my eyes. Noah followed behind her, holding the sleeve of a therapist. For one unbearable second, we simply stared at one another. Hi, I said. Lily's chin lifted. You look different. I cut my hair. That is not what I meant. I understood. The mother she remembered had disappeared. The woman standing before her had another name, another life, and 3 years of secrets. Noah looked at the ankle monitor beneath my jeans. Are you in trouble? Yes, I said.
I broke rules because I was scared. I have to accept what happens because of that. Did you die? He asked. No. Then why did everyone say you did? I lowered myself into a chair so I would not tower over them. Because I made it look that way. Lily's face hardened. You lied to us. Yes. You let us cry. Yes. Dad said you wanted to leave. I wanted to leave him. I never wanted to leave you. She began to cry, but she wiped the tears away angrily. You should have taken us. I tried. The court left you with him, and I was afraid he would kill me before I could protect anyone. Did he really try? Yes. The therapist shifted slightly, watching Lily. I continued carefully. He drove me to Black Ridge Pass and tried to send the car over the edge. A truck driver stopped him. Noah moved closer to Lily. Did Daddy hurt us? I do not know everything that happened while I was gone, but none of it was your fault. Lily looked toward Hannah. Can we watch the videos? Hannah glanced at me. I opened the laptop Camille had brought. We played Lily's recording first. On the screen, I looked younger, frightened, and exhausted. Lily, the woman in the video said, you are not responsible for anything that happens. I love you more than I know how to explain. Lily watched without moving. When the video ended, she whispered, you made that before you left? Yes. Why did Dad never show us? He did not have them. Marissa kept them safe. Noah's recording was shorter. He smiled once when video me sang the first line of his bedtime song. Then he covered his face and began to sob. I wanted to hold him, but I waited. He crossed the room on his own. When he climbed into my lap, my entire body shook. I missed you, he said. I missed you every day. Lily remained by the table. I am still mad. You were allowed to be. I do not forgive you. You do not have to. She stared at me for a long time. Then she stepped forward and placed one hand in mine. It was not forgiveness, but it was our first step forward.
The first visit lasted 90 minutes. When it ended, Noah clung to my sweater until Hannah reminded him he had to leave. Lily stood near the door, pretending not to watch me cry. Will we see you again? Noah asked. Yes, I said. If you want to. Lily answered first. We do. For the first time, hope seemed less dangerous. The custody case began 3 weeks later. Daniel had been released on bail, but a judge prohibited him from approaching me or the children. Through his lawyer, he claimed the bakery confrontation had been staged. Then investigators searched the foundation's accounts. They found hotel bills and payments to 3 investigation firms. Daniel had spent $200,000 donated in my memory. Money intended for grieving families had financed his search for me. The district attorney added fraud to the investigation. My own case moved forward too. Camille refused to pretend my actions were legal. You created a false death scene, she said. Search teams risked their lives looking for you. I know. Explain your fear, but accept the harm. At my hearing, I pleaded guilty to filing a false report and obstructing an investigation. The insurance charge was reduced because I had never requested the payout Daniel collected. The judge listened as Camille described the abuse and Black Ridge Pass. Mrs. Reed, fear explains your conduct, but it does not erase the consequences. I understand. I received 3 years of probation, 400 hours of community service, and mandatory counseling. No prison? My knees nearly gave out. Daniel's lawyer said I had manipulated public sympathy, but the custody court cared less about headlines than evidence. Social workers interviewed Lily and Noah, their teachers, therapists, my parents, Marissa, Ruth, and the driver from Black Ridge. They also examined Daniel. Lily said he told them I had chosen death because the children were too difficult. Noah described nights when Daniel became angry and smashed furniture. Neither child reported being hit, but both were frightened of disappointing him. The evaluator recommended temporary placement with my parents while I rebuilt contact through supervised visits. Daniel objected, but the judge approved it anyway. For the first time, my children were beyond his daily control. My parents brought them to Maine. Every weekend, I traveled there under the conditions of my probation. At first, Lily timed each visit with the clock on the wall. Noah asked whether I would disappear whenever I went to the bathroom, so I announced every small movement. I am going to the kitchen. I will be back in 2 minutes. I am taking a call on the porch. You can see me through the window. It felt ridiculous. It also helped. Trust returned in pieces too small to notice until one afternoon, Noah fell asleep against my shoulder. Lily saw him and whispered, "He does not do that with anyone anymore." I did not move for nearly an hour.
Over the next 4 months, the visits became longer. 2 hours, then an afternoon, then dinner at my parents' house. Lily tested every promise. "If you say you will come at 10, will you really come?" "Yes." "What if it snows?" "I will leave earlier." She watched for failure. I arrived early every time. Noah tested me differently. He spilled juice and once threw a toy. After each mistake, he stared at the door. I understood the question. "Will this make you leave?" I never did. Daniel's criminal trial began in spring. Prosecutors charged him with fraud, misuse of donations, intimidation, and extortion. The Blackridge driver testified. "That woman believed she was going to die," he told the jury. Gavin described his instructions. He did not want police contacted. He wanted her location kept secret until he could reach her himself. 6 weeks before Blackridge Pass, Daniel had taken out another life insurance policy on me. He was the only beneficiary. The jury did not believe him. He was convicted and sentenced to 7 years in prison. When the verdict was read, he looked at me. There was no regret in his face, only blame. I finally understood I did not need his confession. The custody judge reviewed his conviction and our visit reports. She asked Lily and Noah where they wanted to live. "With Mom," Noah said immediately. Lily took longer. "I want to try," she said, "but I want Grandma and Grandpa nearby." The judge approved a gradual reunification plan. The children would spend weekends with me, then holidays, before moving permanently. I rented a house outside Portland, near my parents. Ruth surprised us by moving too. "You need someone who can bake and mind her own business," she said. She rented the apartment above our garage. Evelyn sent one message: "You survived long enough to return." For their first weekend, I prepared everything twice. Fresh sheets, nightlights, their favorite cereal, a purple desk for Lily, dinosaur curtains for Noah. They arrived with overnight bags. "This is really ours?" Noah asked. "If you want it to be." Lily checked every room, the back door, and the closets. Then she returned to me. "Where is your suitcase?" "In my bedroom." "Is it packed?" "No." "Can I see?" I led her upstairs. My suitcase sat empty on the closet shelf. She touched it and nodded. That night, neither child wanted to sleep alone. We built a nest of blankets on the living room floor. Noah fell asleep first. Lily stayed awake beside me. "What happens if Dad gets out?" she whispered. "He cannot come here." "But what if he does?" "Then we call the police, we call Grandma, we do not face him alone." She was quiet. "You used to face him alone." "Yes." "Why?" "Because I thought asking for help made me weak." "Was it?" "No. Asking for help was the bravest thing I should have done sooner." Lily moved closer until her shoulder touched mine. "Good," she whispered, "because now you have us."
The reunification plan moved slowly. For 6 weeks, Lily and Noah spent every weekend with me. Then came Wednesday dinners, school pickups, and one overnight during the week. Each step felt ordinary to everyone else. To us, it was enormous. I learned Lily hated mushrooms and loved mystery novels. Noah had stopped wearing dinosaur shirts, but still slept with the stuffed triceratops I bought before he was born. They learned I drank too much coffee, burned toast, and cried during animated movies. We became a family through repetition. Breakfasts, homework, arguments, apologies. One evening, Lily slammed her door after I refused to let her attend a sleepover without speaking to the other child's parents. "You are not even a real mom," she shouted. The words struck hard, but I stayed in the hallway. "You are right that I missed years of practice," I said, "but keeping you safe is still my job." 10 minutes later, the door opened. "Daniel never checked anything," she muttered. "He said yes because he did not want us bothering him." I am going to ask questions. Sometimes you will hate that. I already do. That is fair. A reluctant smile appeared. By summer, the court approved their permanent return. My parents brought their boxes in 2 cars. Ruth decorated the kitchen with paper stars, like the ones from Lily's 4th birthday. When Lily saw them, she stopped. You remembered? I remember everything. Not everything, of course. There were years I could never recover. But I remembered her first word, Noah's first steps, and every birthday I had spent writing letters they could not read. That night I gave them the box. Inside were birthday letters, drawings, gifts, and photographs of Cedar Hollow. Noah lifted a wooden train. This was for me? For your 5th birthday. You kept it? Yes. They read only the first letters that evening. Lily cried silently. Noah asked me to read his aloud twice. Afterward, he placed the train beside his bed. The next morning, we attended family therapy. Dr. Elise Warren asked what home meant. Knowing where Mom is, Noah said. Being allowed to be angry, Lily said. Home means no one has to earn the right to stay, I said. Recovery was not a straight line. Some weeks were peaceful. Others brought nightmares, slammed doors, and questions I could not answer. Why did Daniel hate me? Why did I not fight harder? Why did the police believe him? I answered honestly when I could. When I could not, I said so. Daniel wrote from prison. His first letter apologized without naming what he had done. He said he loved the children and blamed adult mistakes. Lily tore her copy in half. Noah hid his beneath the mattress. I asked whether they wanted future letters. Not now, Lily said. Noah shook his head. Camille told Daniel's lawyer that contact would stop. For once, his wishes did not control our home. For the first time, the future belonged to the 3 of us alone now.
A year after Lily and Noah came home, our lives began to resemble something ordinary. I completed probation, finished community service, and started working at a shelter for women escaping abuse. At first, I handled paperwork and answered phones. Later, I trained as a counselor. The work was painful, but it shaped what I had survived. When frightened women whispered that no one would believe them, I believed them. When they said leaving felt more dangerous than staying, I understood. I never told anyone to disappear the way I had. Instead, I helped them document injuries, secure money, contact lawyers, and build plans that did not depend on one person keeping a secret. One afternoon, a woman named Tessa sat across from me with a bruise beneath makeup. "My husband says he'll take my daughter if I leave," she said. I heard Daniel's voice in hers. "He may try," I answered, "but you do not have to face him alone." Those words were for her. They were also for the woman I used to be. At home, Lily joined the school debate team. She argued about everything, including bedtime, screen time, and whether cereal counted as dinner. Noah discovered cooking. He started with scrambled eggs and soon took over Sunday breakfast. Ruth taught him to make biscuits, and my father showed him how to grill without setting anything on fire. Our Sunday table grew crowded. My parents came weekly. Marissa visited whenever work allowed. Ruth lived close enough to appear when she smelt coffee. Evelyn never visited, but once a year a postcard arrived with no return address. The first said only, "Still moving forward?" I wrote my reply in a journal because there was nowhere to send it. Yes. 2 years after Daniel's conviction, I received notice that he was eligible for early release. The letter sat unopened on the counter for an hour. Lily found me staring at it. "Is it about Dad?" "Yes." "Is he getting out?" "Maybe." She folded her arms. "Are we safe?" It was the question beneath every other question. "Yes," I said. "We have an alarm, a protection order, lawyers, neighbors, and people who know the truth. But are you scared?" I considered lying. "Yes." She nodded slowly. "Me too." We told Noah together. He went quiet and asked whether Daniel would be allowed to write again. "Only if you want that," I said. "I don't." "Then he won't." At the hearing, Camille spoke for us. Daniel expressed regret and said prison had changed him. The board granted release after he completed 5 years, but imposed strict conditions. He could not contact me, Lily, or Noah. He could not enter our county. He had to report to a parole officer and continue therapy. For several nights after his release, I barely slept. Every sound outside made me reach for my phone. Then 1 week passed, then 2. Nothing happened.
Daniel had spent years occupying every corner of my mind. Now, for the first time, silence did not feel like a trap. It felt like freedom.
Freedom did not arrive as one dramatic moment. It came so quietly, I stopped checking the locks 3 times before bed. Lily left her bedroom door open. Noah invited friends over without asking about our past. For the first time, our home held ordinary problems. Missed assignments, burned biscuits, arguments over chores. I loved every one of them. One evening, Lily came home carrying a folder. "I have to write about someone who changed my life," she said. "I want to write about you." "Why me?" "Because you survived. You do not have to turn our family into a school assignment." "I know, I want to." She wrote at the kitchen table while Noah tested a soup recipe. Every few minutes, she asked something. "What were you most afraid of?" "Never seeing you again." "What made you come back?" "You and Noah." "What do you wish people understood?" That leaving abuse is not one brave decision. It is hundreds of frightening decisions, and sometimes every option feels wrong. A week later, her essay won a district competition. At the ceremony, Lily stood behind a microphone and read the final paragraph. "My mother taught me that survival is not the end of a story. It is the place where you begin writing a new one." Noah whistled from the front row. I cried so hard, Ruth handed me 3 tissues. Afterward, we celebrated with ice cream. It became our tradition. Every victory ended with too many toppings, and Noah insisting he could finish the biggest size. In the booth, Lily asked the question she returned to every few months. "Do you regret leaving us?" "I regret every day we lost," I said. "I regret that I did not find another safe way, but I do not regret surviving." She stirred her ice cream. "I think I understand now." "You can understand and still be angry." "I know now." She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Noah looked up. "I am not angry anymore." Lily rolled her eyes. "You were angry yesterday because Mom made you clean the kitchen." That was different. We all laughed. The sound filled the booth, easy and unguarded. That night, I opened the box of letters from Cedar Hollow. I had started giving them one at a time on birthdays. Lily had read 4, Noah had read 3. They knew where I had lived, what work I had done, and how often I wrote their names to feel close. I chose the next letter for Lily. It was dated 6 weeks after Greyhaven. In it, I had written that I feared she would forget my voice. Now she shouted goodnight from down the hall. It chose Noah's next letter, too. It described the wooden train beside his bed and my hope that one day he would hold it. He still kept it. I returned the letters to the box. For years, I believed the missing time would always be an empty space between us. But we were filling it now, not by pretending it never happened, but by speaking honestly about what it cost. The past was still part of our family. It just no longer controlled the ending.
3 more years passed. Lily turned 17 and began applying to colleges. She wanted to study psychology, especially trauma. Noah was 13 and spent afternoons in the kitchen, testing recipes and covering surfaces with flour. They were no longer the frightened children who had arrived with overnight bags. They had friends, plans, and normal arguments. It had made room for more. One Saturday, Lily found me on the porch reading a letter from Camille. "Is it about Dad?" she asked. "Yes." Daniel had completed parole and requested permission to send the children a supervised letter each year. No visits, no calls. Every message would pass through lawyers and therapists. "What do you want?" I asked. Lily sat beside me. "I do not want a relationship with him," she said, "but I do want to read one letter." Noah was more curious. "I want to know if he admits what he did." The envelope arrived a month later. Daniel wrote that prison had forced him to confront the damage he caused. He apologized for frightening them, lying about me, and using their grief to protect himself. He did not ask forgiveness. Lily read the letter once and placed it in a drawer. "I believe he is sorry," she said. "That does not mean he gets to be my father again." Noah wrote back 3 sentences. "I am safe. I am doing well. I am not ready to forgive you." Daniel followed the rules and sent another letter the next year. The children chose their own boundaries. That mattered more than whether Daniel had changed. He had decided what everyone was allowed to feel. Now he decided nothing for us. That spring, Lily received an acceptance letter from a university in Vermont. She stared at the screen, then burst into tears. "I got in!" I screamed loudly enough for Rue to run upstairs carrying a rolling pin. We celebrated with ice cream, although it was snowing. Later, Lily admitted she was afraid to leave home. What if something happens while I am gone? Something will happen, I said. Life always happens, but you are allowed to build a future that is not organized around protecting me. What if you need me? I will call. You will decide what you can give. Loving someone does not mean becoming responsible for their survival. She looked down. Did you learn that at the shelter? I learned it from you. Noah interrupted from the kitchen. If Lily leaves, can I have her room? She threw a pillow at him. A month before graduation, Marissa invited us to dinner and announced she was engaged to a woman named Celeste. Lily shouted before she finished. Noah asked whether he could cook for the reception. Marissa turned to me. I have one more question. Will you stand beside me? I remembered the night she waited in the rain while I climbed into Evelyn's van. You stood beside me when it could have cost you everything, I said. Of course I will. For once, we were planning a goodbye that did not feel like loss. It felt like another beginning.
Marissa and Celeste married in October beneath red maples. Lily stood beside them in a green dress. Noah prepared pies and ordered adults out of the kitchen. At the reception, Marissa raised her glass. Years ago, someone I loved believed she had to disappear to survive. Today, she is here with the family she fought to regain. Let this marriage begin with her promise: no one we love should face fear alone. I raised my glass in silence. Later, Lily found me beside the dance floor. I thought our story began when you left, she said. So did I. But it started when Dad made you believe you had no choices. Yes. And it did not end when you came back. No. She smiled. Good. I do not want him to be the ending. The next summer, we drove Lily to college in Vermont. Her room was small. I rearranged the books 3 times. At the door, she hugged Noah, then turned to me. You are going home, right? Yes. You are not going to disappear? I heard the frightened child inside it. I will call when we stop and when we reach home. She nodded. I needed to hear it. I held her tightly. You never have to be ashamed of needing reassurance. After we left, Noah stared through the window. The house will be weird without her. It was. Video calls replaced Sunday pancakes until Lily came home. Life kept changing. Ruth retired but still appeared in our kitchen each morning. Noah entered culinary school and planned a restaurant. Lily studied trauma counseling and volunteered at a crisis center. I stayed at the shelter. Sometimes women recognized me from old interviews. I never gave them one. I told them courage can be calling a hotline, hiding documents, trusting a neighbor, or admitting fear. Survival should never require becoming a ghost. On the 10th anniversary of Greyhaven, I returned to the cliff with Lily and Noah. The railing had been replaced. The sea was calm. I removed the wedding ring kept after trial and placed it on a stone. I thought leaving this here ended my life, I said. It only ended the life he controlled. Lily took my hand. What begins now? I looked at my children. Whatever we choose. We walked back together. For once, the future felt entirely ours. Not healed perfectly, not untouched, but free. For years, Daniel decided what my story meant. He called me unstable, selfish, and gone. He was wrong. I was Natalie Reed. I was a mother. I was alive. And this time, no one else would write my ending.